When deciding on the design of my level, I had two main elements that I wanted to include. I knew I wanted a linear design, and I knew that I wanted platforming to be a main gameplay feature. I also wanted to explore contrast and lighting, and so I had the player initially spawn in a dark and cramped tunnel, before making their way to an open and brightly lit field. Something that I greatly enjoy in games are Easter eggs, especially the bizarre out-of-place ones, and I wanted to include at least one in my level. Therefore, if the PC, player character, decides to follow the glowing line on the ground, they will be led into a dark tunnel under the stairs of the temple's main entrance. Upon entering, they will immediately see a brightly glowing ball that they are able to push along in order to navigate the darkness of the halls. At the end, the PC will find a small furnished room alongside a cat that is rather busy trying to repair his computer. He offers you a small amount of coins and a gem in an effort to make you leave. Following the more obvious route, the player enters the large temple structure and is greeted with the sight of force fields sectioning off the end goal. When the PC approaches, they are told that a key is needed to open the door. They also hid coins behind objects like boxes to encourage the player to explore the map, which is an idea I took from Pokemon games. Coins are, as well as being the main collectible, used to subtly guide the player through the level without feeling railroaded. This technique of using pickups to guide the player is used in a wide variety of games, such as Sonic's use of rings or weapon pickups in Doom. Ascending the stairs, the player reaches the first checkpoint, as well as the level's first major obstacle, a lava pit. I opted to use lava instead of, say, a spike pit or endless fall into the void, because not only does it provide a striking visual, especially with the cooler interior of the temple, but also because it immediately communicates danger to the player. To reach the next checkpoint, the PC must time their jumps and use the two moving platforms to traverse above the lava, as falling in results in death and being sent back to the prior checkpoint. After this obstacle, the player is given a choice of taking a branching path. Deciding to go to the left, they hop on a lift and are taken down to a small area surrounded by a wooden palisade. Entering reveals a tucked away village that seems to be abandoned, if not for the lit fires and a resident yelling at you through their door. The player is able to collect several coins and a gem before leaving this area. Proceeding forwards, the player finds themselves at a lake with wooden pallets floating on its surface. When using these platforms to cross the water, the player may fall in or look down and see something glowing beneath the surface. If they choose to investigate this, they will discover a chest with coins and a gem rewarding their curiosity. They are then able to swim back to the surface. At this point in the level, platforms begin to become smaller and narrower, requiring more accuracy and sprinting jumps. At the next checkpoint, the player enters the final stretch of the level, ascending upwards and using ladders and jump boosts to platform through the clouds. Reaching the top, they encounter a moving island, and missing this jump means starting over from the bottom. If they succeed, however, they must use a jump boost to make a long jump between islands before being faced with another set of moving platforms, going back over the lava pit. The timed jump must then be made onto a small spinning rock and then onto a narrow ledge, leading the PC to the sought after key. Taking a lift down, they find themselves on a previously unreachable balcony, where they are now able to drop down, unlock the door, and reach the end of the level, being shown their overall time and collected items. When thinking about my level design, I mainly used sketches, making sure to include elements that I knew I wanted to include, such as playing with lighting and contrast between big and small. I also took visual inspiration from games such as Journey and Air Memories of Old, as they use a simple but clean and bright art style. I also took inspiration from several games when developing the mechanics. This includes Doom for pickups, Pokemon for hidden items, and Sonic for rings leading the player. I also tried to take process images of the level as it was being created. What took up most of my time in this project was learning how nodes, animations, and widgets work within the Unreal Engine. This is a system I was entirely unused to, and it took a lot of trial and error. Thankfully, due to many tutorials, I was able to implement most of my ideas. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make the animation for ladder climbing work, as it kept breaking the jump animation. I am, however, very happy with how the texture for the lava and proximity-based text turned out. I also adjusted the player character's jump to make them feel less floaty, but to also give them more control. Footstep sounds were also added to give the character more presence and make it very obvious when they were moving. On the topic of animations, a swimming one was also added for when the player falls into the water, making it feel less like a decoration and more like an integrated and interactable part of the level.